Former U.S. presidential advisor Joseph Nye has been a longtime observer and analyst of world politics. I sat down with him at the Munich Security Conference to talk about the current state of global affairs. Professor Nye, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be with you again.
You have been an advisor to two U.S. presidents, to President Jimmy Carter and President Bill Clinton. If you look at the current U.S. president, at President Donald Trump, what do you make of it?
Well, I think the most important factor is the ability to defeat President Trump. I think President Trump has had a very negative effect on American foreign policy, on American soft power. The polls show that we're much less popular around the world. But he has a loyal following, something in the range of 45, 46%. And unless the Democrats get a good candidate against him, he may be reelected.
So the Democratic Party is obviously right in the midst of selecting its candidate, its nominee to go up against President Donald Trump. If you look at the field, do you have a personal favorite? Is there anyone you like?
Well, I had thought that Joe Biden was the best position to defeat President Trump because he had the ability to appeal to the middle of the country. The middle both, I don't mean just geographically, but ideologically. But he hasn't done well in the first two cases, Iowa and New Hampshire. So that leaves an open question about who has the best prospect of defeating Trump.
You, of course, have famously coined the term soft power. Is the U.S. declining in terms of soft power under President Trump?
Well, it's interesting. If in 2016, when Obama was still in office, public opinion polls showed that about 2/3 of people polled around the world had a positive view of the United States. There was a poll done about a month or 6 weeks ago by Pew, which is a very reputable polling operation in a very large number of countries, and that's declined to about 1/3. So Trump has had a very negative effect on American attractiveness.
What impact would a second term for President Trump have on both the United States and the rest of the world?
Well, I fear that since Trump has a very narrow transactional view of foreign policy rather than a broader institutional view, that what we'll see is a continued decay in American support for multilateral institutions and a weakening, not a destruction, but a weakening of American alliances because he's undercut trust. And trust is very important in international affairs.
Great Britain has just most recently left the European Union. If you look at the European Union today and its role in the 21st century, what's your opinion?
Yes, I'm sad that Britain has left Europe, but, well, it's left the European Union, it hasn't left Europe, and I'm hoping we'll see British cooperation with Europe. But I also think that if you take a longer historical view, the development of the European Union has been one of the remarkable factors in history. Europe today is so different than the Europe of the past. And the key question is, how do you protect and develop, sometimes people call it the acquis communautaire, but it's broader than that. The historical fact that Europe now is not one nation, but it's a group of nations tightly lashed together or linked together, and they can have a major effect when you take issues like privacy and the internet questions, when you take issues like antitrust, where the European market is so big that companies have to pay attention to it. Yes, Europe is very definitely a factor in world politics. I hope, in addition to that, the European will develop more of their own independent foreign and security policy to help provide a greater degree of security. So Europe is still, to my mind, a success story.
Professor Nye, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.